So welcome to Warrior Wealth Wednesday. Here we are again. It's step 4 of the 10 steps. And it's talking about why being poor is learned behavior. And it's a fascinating subject. So I'm your host, Fiona Jean, Purposeful Warrior. And my passion, like we know I tell you every week, is to teach others, to share my experience and wisdom. And so you too can create generational wealth for you and your legacy, the dollars, if you like, that live on long past this lifetime that we're currently experiencing. So I like to poke the bear, tell it how it is, speak my truth, and even the other shows that I run, Inner Strength, Inner Size Live, all of these shows, and the Inspired to Thrive show as well, I ask my guest speakers to also speak their truth, to tell it how it is. And what I'm doing in this Warrior Wealth Wednesday series is sharing with you the 10 steps to wealth. We're on step 4. You can go back and watch the other steps if you like. I hope you do, if this is the first time you're joining us. I'd love to invite you to grab your conscious cuppa, your notebook, and really somewhere quiet to sit and engage so you can be fully present. I'm not FJTV. I'd rather you not be here than not be present. And if you're enjoying these lives, please, I suggest that you, turn the notifications on the Purposeful Warrior page so you get to know when I'm live. And also, if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay, let me know where you're from, where you're watching from. I'd love to connect with you directly. So, like I say, if you have missed the earlier steps, just comment help in the comments below, and we can share with you the links to the either on the video, the YouTube channel, or the lives. Happy to do that. So let's get into it. Awakening wealth, step number 4 of these 10 steps to wealth. Why being poor is learned behavior. It's an interesting topic, I think, to talk about. And I'd love to know, please comment in the box what you think that means. What does it mean for you? I'd love to know. Hey, Jai, thank you for joining. So I think that now you've begun to understand, if you've been following these steps along, you'll begin to understand the impact of the internal conversations with yourself. That's what we talked about in step 1. All of the things that go on in here, very, very important to start to understand that. And then in step 2, we talked about switching our thinking, switching your thinking from employee to entrepreneurial thinking. And again, it's very, very important to understand the impact of the thinking and the thinking as in terms of the results that we're getting, what we're seeing in our life. And then the step we did last week, step 3, was all about the magical formula to time and money freedom. And it was great. I got some really great feedback, lots of personal messages on that one. So I'm really great that it was starting to resonate with you. And if you haven't watched it, I suggest that you do. And perhaps I'll get the guys to tag the replay for step 3 in there, because it's really, really a critical step in our journey. So if you've been watching all of these steps and following along and downloading the ebooks and reading, and actually I am recording them as an audible as well, so you'll be able to have me in your ears at any time you choose. How wonderful is that? You may be feeling a little overwhelmed, because, and if this happens, like I said last week, please just take your time and work through things at your own pace. There is no rush in a lot of ways, because these are you'll do yourself a great service by taking time to really understand these foundational steps. They will really set you up for the success that I'm sure and I know you want and desire. So again, it's trusting that everything you need exists in the minds of those who successfully journeyed before you. I think that's the key here, is trusting that it already exists. It exists in the knowledge of successful people, in their books, their wisdom, their support networks. It's all out there ready for you. But wealth is your birthright. You were born with it. And it, unfortunately, it was learned behavior that you became poor. So what we're going to try and do now is show you a way where it's possible for you to reclaim your birthright. So step 4, like I said, is all about understanding that being poor is learned behavior. And once you're in control of things and you're listening to the internal conversations with yourself, like we went through in step 1, you can begin putting more effort into the process of understanding why your present way of doing things may be ineffective. Do you feel it's ineffective? I'd love to know. Answer me in the comments. Because if it's ineffective, is it going to lead you to what you truly desire? Perhaps money and time and more independence? I don't think so. In fact, I know it's not. You'll begin to understand, hopefully by now, that cultural and societal environment you were raised in is generally the dominant reason why you may not be experiencing the freedom that you seek. And when you can understand one side of the coin, then the other side makes more sense. Because sometimes we look at the coin and we can see both sides, but when we don't truly understand one side of it, it's difficult to see the meaning and the gifts, if you like, that the other side holds. So I trust that makes sense. Please ask any questions as we go through if it's not resonating with you. So these are the things that you need to do in order to consider to bring about change. It's important to understand that being poor is learned behavior. Is that at least a concept rather, that you are willing to engage with? That's the word I'm looking for. Because prior to, world financial crisis, if you like, we witnessed one of the greatest decades of economic growth of all time. And it's easy to assume that the wealth created, by record sort of market, stock market prices, real estate prices, the highs that we saw, and record company profits, if you like, would all be passed on to most people. And yet the response has been to record the biggest consumer debt, the biggest credit transactions, welfare applications, personal bankruptcies. So what's happening in a world where all of this money was around, all of this surplus was there, the world was booming? Why do we see the other side? Large credit, welfare applications, people struggling, personal bankruptcy. Why does this happen? Because the ongoing debt from credit cards is tens of billions of dollars. From personal loans, it's in the 50s of billions. Mortgages is in the hundreds of billions. This is global. And despite the greatest economic decade of all time, the majority of people are still retiring broke. Something's wrong, right? Something's majorly wrong here. I'm hoping that you can start to see that. And when I say people are retiring broke, you know what I say? They're in a job, J-O-B, just over broke. Living from hand to mouth on that treadmill that we talk about, the earn, spend, and borrow. Earn the money, we're educated to go and spend, so we spend what we earn, we overspend, so we borrow. And we have to pay back the borrowing, so we earn again. So it's this cycle, the cycle that's continually moving round and round on this treadmill that I call the earn, spend, borrow treadmill. Dr. Robert Schuller, he says, let me get this right, every achiever that I've ever met says, my life turned around when I began to believe in me. And I think that is so true. It resonates to the core of my being, for sure. And I'm hoping that if you let that sink in, so every achiever that he'd ever met said, my life turned around when I began to believe in me. It's the inside out journey, guys. That's what it's all about. If you want time and money freedom, if you want more intimacy in your relationships, if you want a successful business that you manage rather than being in a job, if you want purpose in your life, self-love, self-care, it all turns around in your life when you begin to believe in yourself. That most people retire broke is largely due to the fact that they've learned money habits simply don't work. Just think for a moment. Think of what you've done throughout your life so far. You've probably carried out hundreds of thousands of actions with money, right? While simultaneously wishing for some form of financial freedom, independence, security, and choice. When you think, depending on how old you are, how many days you've lived, how many hours you've lived, how many times you visited the supermarket, the shops, the market stalls, the bar, the cinema, you know, whatever it happens to be. How many monetary transactions, even buying things online these days, all those monetary transactions, there'll be hundreds of thousands of them throughout your lifetime. But at the same time, I bet you were wishing for some form of financial freedom, independence, security, and choice. So now, unless you are now independently wealthy, and if you are, congratulations, join the club. I'm so happy for you. Where have all those actions got you? You more than likely worked hard for all of those years, and yet there's little to show for your effort in terms of financial time and money freedom. So it's time to consider whether all of these actions, the things that you've been doing, have been effective or ineffective. Did they work or did they not work? And you'll be able to see that in the results that you're getting. Because millions of people learn the money habits of convention, because that's the money habit of the system of conditioning that the society wants you to learn. So I'm trying to say, society wants you to learn a certain way because it wants you to be in a state of servitude, you know, serving and contributing and being the herd mentality. And the capitalist system is, like I say, it's designed in such a way that the majority support the minority. That's how it's designed. And the majority must get a good job, you know, work hard, buy a house, have a family, while the majority enjoy the benefits of such a process. Now, you've probably heard me say this before, but I'm going to say it again. I call it pimping yourself out for others' dreams. And I'm sorry, but that's the reality of the way I see it. And I'm going to speak my truth. Because when we, you know, we have a good job, we work hard, we buy a house and everything else, we are working for someone else. We're working for someone else's dreams and goals and aspirations, and often at the expense of our own. This isn't always the case. I'm generalizing. For the majority of people, this is true. Some people have beautiful goals and dreams that perhaps aren't, you know, money-based or wealth-based in terms of time and freedom, and they seek things in another way. And that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So they enjoy their work, their job, and they manage their money. So it's really around the source of money can be, you know, from your own means, like from an entrepreneurial stance. It can be from an employee stance. It's how you look after that money, the habits you have around the money that really matter. So remaining with the majority is a recipe for disaster if you're not managing your money. It's not a recipe for money mastery and time money freedom. So really, I want you to consider something here. It's time to consider whether or not all of those actions that you've done in the past have been effective, i.e. they're going to have got you what you want, or are they ineffective, you don't have the results that you want just yet. Because if you've been following conventional wisdom, you'll know what I mean. You know, and how is it working for you? Tell me, comment in the box. Are you experiencing growth? Are you experiencing sameness? Are you experiencing the benefits of freedom? Or are you experiencing new ways of settling for less? It's a balance. You tell me where you are. Can't help you if you don't know. The results of conventional wisdom is that 96.9% of the population at age 65 accept a lack of financial independence as the normal. It's just, that's the way it is. Whatever. That's what I hear all of the time. And it can be so different, guys. They wish they had more, but they accept a life of surrendered potential and scarcity. Earn, spend, borrow. Earn, spend, borrow. It's like the fly. Bzz, bump, bzz, bump, bzz, bump. Always crashing into the brick wall. It's going to knock itself out eventually. They never realized that they could learn to do something different. Everyone that's stuck in this loophole, they often don't realize that they can learn to do things differently. Because have you ever wondered where most people get their money habits from? Is that something you've thought about? Because around up until the age of around 7 to 10, studies have different opinions on this. For me, I go more around the 7 mark, but some studies say 10. A child's critical reasoning, their analytical and consciousness faculties, if you like, the way that they process information, are being formed. It's a crucial time, a critical time in a child's life. And if you like, it's their persona. Their persona is formed during these years, and that in turn becomes their personality. So how you're brought up in the first 7 to 10 years of your life, what you were exposed to, what you were hearing, what you were told, how you experienced money, that becomes your personality around money now, your money habits, unless you have done a lot of work on it. So it's during this formative stage of development that the greatest influence is exerted over a child's development in all realms of life. We're talking about money story here, money habits, but this actually is a lot bigger. It's where our beliefs come from, our value system, what we fear. All of these things come from these first 7 to 10 years of our life, the formative early years. So in terms of time, money, freedom, it's money habits or money story, if you will, that the ones that you're currently using right now were probably established before you reach the age of 10. If that's making sense, guys, please put a yes in the comments. I'd love to know. Because people who surrounded you as you were growing unknowingly programmed their money beliefs and a whole lot more. That's a conversation, like I said, for another time, into your subconscious. People don't do this deliberately, and they don't understand often how the mind works and the development form of child's development works. So they're not deliberately, filling you full of trashy money beliefs and money stories that are going to screw the rest of your life up. They don't intentionally do that. It's just what happens in life. And unless you learn to do things differently, the money habits and the belief systems you formed as a child are the same ones you'll continue to use as an adult. So in this way, most people have unconsciously adopted, if you like, a belief system around money that holds them back. Do you realize that? Do you see that? Is any of this making sense? I hope so. Send me a private message. It's all good. I'm happy with that. Because parents, friends, teachers, siblings, strangers, peer groups, religious groups, mass media, what else is there? Culture, political practices, and all the general social fabric, if you like, that all had an influence on your money habits at a conscious and subconscious level. As you developed, their opinions, their beliefs, their attitudes, their perceptions, their experiences, and their habits informed your development, which in turn informs now the way that you behaved then and the way that you behave now. I'm trusting this is making sense. The result for most people is a continued struggle to make ends meet, a continuation of working in jobs they don't like, continuation of poor financial results. In fact, there's a theory which states that people who have unhealthy relationship with money work in jobs they really hate and use that negative emotion subconsciously as a way of justifying taking the company's money at the end of the week. It's screwed up, it really is. Life can be so much different, guys, when you understand that you have the power to unlearn what you learned. Because experience and the habits informed your development. Their experience and their habits informed your development. So what I would like to invite you to do is to invite and to learn better money habits and dramatically improve your results. Give me a hell yes if that sounds good to you. Many people describe their financial pressures as being like, pressure, water, if you like, the pressure that water places on a dam wall. They feel the pressure and describe the huge burden. It's like a huge burden on here. Hi, thank you for joining me, T. Thank you. Love listening to the live. That's really great. Thank you so much. Please share it. Share them. More the people that we can reach with these messages, the better. So as I said, that most people with financial pressures feel like it's water pressure against a dam wall, if you like, and this pressure is described as a huge burden of constantly trying to find money to plug leaks here and there. And I don't know, a higher number of personal bankruptcies, and a higher incidence of broken relationships all indicate for many that the dam walls have burst. It all becomes too much. And I think the relationship work that I do as well, I see that money troubles is a huge strain on couples and relationships and family dynamic. It really is. So you can see, hopefully, that all of these pieces, all of these things that I talk about in, a lot of the things that I do, all link together. They all link together. And they start with us looking inside and saying, where did our personality come from? What beliefs, what values do I have? Are they really mine? Just let that sink in. Are they really mine? It's interesting. Or is it? You tell me. Ask yourself how many of the people you grew up with are wealthy. Ask yourself how many people you currently surround yourself with are rich, as opposed to getting by. If the majority just getting by, then just like you, that's the money habits and behavior you're emulating. You've been doing things your way for some time now, right? Check out the results. Are you happy with the results you're getting in life? Has it worked? Are you truly getting the results that you want? Really? Look into your heart and answer that question truthfully. Don't just say, oh yeah, it's okay, I can manage, I've got enough. Is it truly what you want at the core of yourself? If not, then perhaps it's time to do things differently. Ask yourself, if you were surrounded by wealthy people now, if you knew what they know, if you were to think the way they think, if you were to do things the way they do them, would your results be different, perhaps? Of course they would. So if you do nothing else, get yourself into the energy orbit, if you like, the presence of successful people. Let's have a virtual coffee. If that's what it takes, one-on-one, reach out. I'll have a virtual coffee with you. Chew the fat, have a yarn. You can accept, if you accept what you've learned in the past are in fact poor money habits, if you can accept that, and these habits produce poor results, and you understand that, and you can, you have awareness around it now, then it stands to reason, does it not, that you can learn better money habits and dramatically improve your results. All you have to do is place yourself in a position where learning can take place. That's all you have to commit to. In his book, what's it called? Psycho-Cybernetics, that's right. Maxwell Maltz describes the greatest physiological discovery of the 20th century as being the discovery of self-image. And I found this fascinating. Whether we realize it or not, each one of us carries a mental blueprint, right? I didn't realize this for a lot of years. Now I just love to talk about this stuff. A picture, if you like, of ourselves, that mental blueprint. And it may be vague and ill-defined. It could be, wishy-washy, raggy around the edges to our consciousness. The way, we don't really see it, it's blurred and it's out of focus. But in fact, it may not be, it may not even be in your conscious awareness at all. You might not be able to recognize it. Yet it's there. It's there in each and every one of us. Complete down to the last minute detail. of everything you believe about yourself. The self-image is our own conception of the sort of person I am. It's been built up from our own beliefs about ourselves. But most of these beliefs about ourselves have unconsciously been formed from our past experiences, our successes and failures, our humiliation, our triumph, and the way that other people have reacted to us, especially in our childhood. And from all these influences of, a picture of self, if you like, is constructed. And once a picture or a belief goes into this construction, it becomes true. This is what happens in the subconscious mind. Everything that's constructed, it becomes true. The subconscious mind does not process anything, any negatives. It just sees what it believes, face value, what it's told. Scary, right? If your journey to wealth is to be successful, you must truly understand the self that's being constructed. And there's a note as well that, this means the difference between success and failure, or the difference between freedom and the compulsion to conform, or the drawing, the magnetism of conformity and freedom. They're opposite sides. And when we truly understand how the self is constructed, we can see both sides of that and make a different choice. Because part of this process actually involved in successful change, and changing all of these things to learn new habits, is the death of the old self. Scary, right? The death of the old self. Yet it doesn't simply mean gaining new knowledge and changing a few behaviors. That's a great start, and that's where we are now. We're getting awareness, and we're having thoughts around this, and gaining new information, new ideas, new concepts, leaving our ego at the door, leaving what we think we know at the door, and come and listen, and being open to receiving the things that are said. And then we make a decision based on that information, the new knowledge that we've received. And that's a great start. It means that because you're starting to understand that your behavior, your feelings, your actions, your beliefs, your abilities are always consistent with your self-image. To give you an example, I broke my knee and my ankle 3 or 4 years ago. So I have an internal belief that I'm working on, and it pisses me off at times because it's really annoying that my leg is going to give way. I don't trust it, because 4 years before that it did give way, and I ended up in a ventilator in ICU for 3 days. Didn't know anything. And that's a real fear or a belief in me that my leg and my knee and foot on that side is not stable. So it makes me worry getting on a boat. It makes me worry climbing steps. It makes me worry going down steps. All of these things are in my self. So I'm working on the death of that part of me, because I know that my body is healed and it's strong enough for me to do these things. That's an example. I hope that makes sense. Because when you change your outcomes, you have to reconstruct your self-image. So to do that, we embrace enterprise and achievement and doing. It's the old self that causes your behaviors, feelings, and beliefs. And as far as we're personally concerned, we do not question its validity, do we? If you find yourself you can't do something, do you ask yourself all the time, that's not true? How do I know that's true? Why am I doing that? Why do I believe that? Is it my belief? Is it from my experience? I'm sure you don't go around asking yourself all of those questions all the time. Maybe you will now. I've brought them to your awareness. So we do not question its validity, but we proceed to act upon it just as if it were true. That's what we do. I won't get on the boat. I won't go down the steps. I'll take the escalator. I won't climb the stairs. I'll take the lift. Because I believe it to be true that something might happen to my knee. So your old behaviors, feelings, beliefs, and actions are the causes of your outcome. And if you're not going to change the cause, then the effect you're going to get, it does little other than remain the same. So it's not difficult as it may seem, yet it requires work. Everything requires work. We know there's no magic pill, there's no shortcut. You simply can't change the outer shell and expect things to work. You'll be fighting against your own constructed self. And you know, that old friend, self-sabotage, will come knocking on the door. Who's had a visit from self-sabotage? I know I've had plenty. Along with misprocrastination and master overwhelm. They visit at times too. So according to Maltz, the new science of cybernetics proves convincingly that everybody can change. You're never too old, too young to change your self-image and start to live a new life. Cybernetics, he says, provides convincing proof that so-called subconscious mind is not a mind at all. It's a creative mechanism. So we call it a mind, but it's actually not. What he's saying is it's a constructive, creative mechanism, a goal-striving servo mechanism, if you like, a servant to us to help us achieve our goals, consisting with a brain and nervous system, which is used and directed by our mind, which is our conscious mind. So if our conscious mind is constantly looking at the constructed self that we have from our childhood and all of its limits and beliefs and restrictions, then no wonder our subconscious mind is purely its servant. It's doing its bidding, its will. It takes exactly what it's told as being the truth. So this servo mechanism can be directed by your consciousness as an automatic goal-striving mechanism. It's, you know, it works in much the same way as an electric goal-striving mechanism locates its target, you know, propels itself forward towards its target and perhaps makes tiny corrections until it engages. Imagine like a torpedo, you know, it's locked onto its target, and yet it moves and sways, and you see them on the movies, right? You know, they follow the ship and the vessel or whatever it is they're targeting on until it engages and locks on properly, and then it just goes. So however, for me, you need to understand that the creative servant mechanism within you is impersonal. It will work automatically and impersonally to achieve your goals of success or happiness, unhappiness, failure, depending upon the goals you set for it, whatever's in your conscious mind. Present it with success goals and it functions. It does it automatically on automatic pilot. So why not just start there? Start with one small goal, something you want to achieve, and let your conscious mind believe that, and your subconscious will deliver the result. Present it with negative goals, however, and it operates just as impersonally and just as faithfully as a failure mechanism. So guys, the choice is yours. Nature doesn't do anything without specific goals, and nature's goals are always associated with function. For example, leaves, seeds, you know, they wouldn't fall from a tree unless they're needed to reach the ground in order to produce new life, right? Interesting, right? You know, the practice, however, you know, the practice of most humans is to attempt to function without consciously thought out goals. That's what happens with the majority of people. If you don't have clear-cut goals for success, you'll be continually achieving goals of conformity to a life of struggle and a life of lack. And if that's you, if that's what you want, then rock on, rock forth, and please don't watch anymore, you know, because it's not why I'm here and the message that I'm trying to share, and sharing this fantastic valuable information so you can actually make different choices. Your self-image prescribes the limits within which you operate. It really does. It prescribes the area of the possible. However, if you rely on your previously constructed self-image, like we talked about before, understand that if you're not already financially successful, you're programmed for failure. Let that sink in. If you're not already financially successful, then you're programmed for failure. But it's not too late. You can do something about it. And the 10 steps is a bit like putting together a jigsaw puzzle without having seen the whole picture first. I get that. And I'm sure you'll agree, though, the more you progress, the more things begin to make sense. This is what my true desire in delivering these 10 steps is for you to see that. Keep going with the 10 steps. If this is the first time you're seeing me, go back, look at step 1, 2, and 3. I really encourage you to do that. When you truly think about these things, they'll appear so simple and so logical. You'll begin to wonder, why isn't everyone on this journey? And what's the secret? And that is the secret. The simple things that work. That's the secret. It's the simple things. Because the majority of people want to make it so complex. They're never able to see the simplicity of doingness, what we call successing. What I call successing. My mentor, Paul, he calls successing. It's learning that opens doors, opens minds, and educates eyes. Remember that anything that has been learned and turns out to be ineffective can be replaced with a more effective learning strategy. You're only locked into your previous learning if you choose to remain locked in. It's a choice. You have a choice. Please make the right one. Because we know when you find new answers, you automatically get new choices at every choice intersection. That's what happens. New awareness becomes a new answer or a new way of doing something, a new possibility that you can see, an opportunity. And therefore you have a choice to say yes or no to that opportunity. So that's the end of this session. Next week will be step 5. Can you imagine? The halfway mark already. That's wonderful. And we start to talk about reversing the damage of what you've been told about money. Another good one for me to get stuck into. You like and poke that bear. So remember, comment, give me the book, or watch for the link to download the free ebook of step 4. If you'd like your own copy, which I really encourage you to do, and read it. I am recording these books as well, so Audible series will come out very soon. So till next time, remember, please remember to be your own wealth guru, to do whatever it takes. Wealth, success, time and money freedom, they are all your birthright. You deserve them. Take them back. Till next time. Bye for now.